The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule. Right now at 5, a tragic end to an intense police chase after shots were fired in Southeast Bakersfield. A man and a canine officer were killed in the shooting, and it was all caught on camera. Good morning, I'm Maddie Jansen.
And I'm Alex Fisher. This all started about an hour after sunset last night, and police say officers tried to stop someone driving a stolen car on Highway 58, but they say he would not pull over. He eventually crashed the car in Southeast Bakersfield and took off, and that's when the shooting happened. 17's
Ileana Capelan is live where the shooting happened. She joins us right now this morning with the video showing what unfolded last night. Good morning, Ileana.
Maddie, we are live on the corner of Feliz and Simon, where, as you can see, there is still an active investigation. This morning, police are mourning the loss of one of their own after a canine officer was shot and killed by the suspect that ran into a home here, the lawn here in the home. Now, we do have video of this officer-involved shooting unfolding. We want to warn you before you watch it, this video is difficult to see.
Southbound. Backyard. He's running. He let the canine loose. He's trying to bust out the door, guys. Shots fired. Back up, Robert. I'm at it. Oh, shoot, he shot the dog. The guy shot the dog. It appears canine shot.
That video is from Maverick with NLM Entertainment. Police say the canine officer was taken to a veterinarian hospital where he later died. That man who police say shot the dog was shot and killed by police. Late last night, Sergeant Robert Pear with BPD spoke out about the department's loss.
That officer works every day with that dog. It is more than a dog to that officer. It's their best friend. That officer is understandably devastated, as are the people that know him and care for him. So it is something that is hard to deal with, but you also have to understand that there was a human life lost as well, and that is not lost on us. So we will investigate this thoroughly and determine all the facts and circumstances of what happened.
The dog.
BPD does say that the officers were wearing body cams, and so that footage will be released at a later time. In Southeast Bakersfield, Ileana Capelan, 17 News. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Ileana.
We have more breaking news coming into our newsroom this morning. 2 men accused in a gang-related shooting that left a 3-year-old boy dead back in 2017 have escaped from Lerdo Jail.
Major Sutton was shot and killed shortly before midnight on November 10th, 2017, when gunmen kicked down the door of his family's home and opened fire. According to Kern County Sheriff's Office, the 2 inmates suspected in his killing have escaped from Lerdo Jail facility. Information still limited at this time, but 17's Ileana Capelan is live this morning at Lerdo Jail as she learns more about the men that police are looking for. Ileana?
Maddie, the Kern County Sheriff's Office is searching for 2 escaped inmates. They escaped this morning around 1:45, and at this time, their whereabouts are unknown. Now, I want you guys to take a look at the scene behind me. There's still an active police presence here. Obviously, Kern County Sheriff's Office heading this investigation. On our way up here, we could see the roads lined with CHP and KCSO vehicles. We've also seen the helicopter circling this area. Now, it is known that the men were last seen running southbound. Now, at this time, I want you guys to take a look at pictures of these 2 that have escaped. We're looking at David Reagan Palms, who's 22 years old. He's described as a black male with brown eyes, about 5 foot 6 inches, and 160 pounds. The second escapee is 24-year-old Tyrone D'Angelo Johnson. Johnson is described as a black male with brown eyes, 5'7", and 160 pounds. Now, they were last seen running southbound shirtless in white boxer shorts. It's important to note that both of these men were charged in a homicide, and they are considered armed and dangerous. So if you do spot them, make sure you're not approaching them. They say here that that is the most important thing to be aware of. Again, both men were charged in a homicide, and they are considered armed and dangerous. Now, the Lerdo Justice Facility has shut down visitation and things along those lines until there is further information. So for today, for the time being, visitation rights have been shut down. As we get more information, we'll keep you up to date, but that's all for now. Maddie here at Lerdo Justice Facility, Ileana Capeyan, 17 News. Back to you guys.
Ileana, thanks so much.
And we have just learned those two men who escaped the Laredo Jail facility were behind bars for the murder of 3-year-old Major Sutton. Tyrone Johnson and David Palms were arrested in February 2018 and charged with murder in the slaying of Major Sutton. Major was shot and killed shortly before midnight on November 10, 2017, when gunmen kicked down the door of his family's home and opened fire. His pregnant mother and then 5-year-old brother were wounded. Similarities to an earlier shooting, anonymous tips, and wiretap phone calls helped connect the suspects to the shooting, investigators said in court filings.
Your time now is 5:03. Meantime, police say a boy was injured in a drive-by shooting in Rosamond yesterday. It happened just after 5 p.m. in the 2700 block of Diamond Street. Kern County Sheriff's Office says deputies responded to reports of a shooting and found an 11-year-old boy suffering from 2 non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. Deputies say the boy was inside a parked car near a business at the time of the shooting and was an innocent bystander. He was taken to a local hospital. 2 additional victims, a man and woman, were grazed by bullets during the shooting but did not need medical attention. The investigation revealed a man fired several rounds at people from inside a dark blue car before fleeing the scene. Hours earlier, police responded to a separate shooting, this time in Bakersfield. It happened just after 1:45 p.m. in the 2600 block of Buck Owens Boulevard. Police say the shooter fired several shots at the victim during an argument in the parking lot, then fled the scene. The victim was taken to a nearby hospital suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Anyone who knows anything about this case is encouraged to call the Bakersfield Police Department at 327-7111.
A person was wounded in a shooting at a Bakersfield car wash last night. The sheriff's office says the shooting happened around 6:20 yesterday evening on Niles Street. Deputies say when they arrived, they couldn't find a victim, but witnesses told deputies the person who was shot was taken to the hospital. KCSO says the person was shot in the hand. No one has been arrested. Meantime, police say a 14-year-old boy who was shot in South Bakersfield is still in the hospital and stable this morning. Officers were called to the area of White Lane near South 8th Street for a report of the shooting just after 6 o'clock Sunday night. Bakersfield police say someone fired several shots at a group of people standing in the parking lot, but the teen shot was not in the crowd, so police say he appears to have been hit unintentionally. If you know anything about this shooting, call police at 327-7111.
All right, your time now is 5:05, and as I came back into town yesterday, Kev, I was a little bit surprised by the weather. It was, pretty cool for this time in April.
Oh, yeah, but don't get used to that. We're already going to warm up today, and we continue on that warming trend here the next few days. Let's take you outside right now, show you the current temperature. We're at 56 degrees in Bakersfield this time. Light wind out of the east at 7 miles per hour. And as we take a look at the hour-by-hour forecast for you today, you can see 64 degrees by 9 o'clock, and then we're in the lower 80s right around 3. Into the mountains, Tehachapi right now, a cool 39, a west wind at 5, and hour by hour, you're going to warm up this afternoon nicely, and by 3 o'clock, you should be looking at the upper 60s. I'll have much more in your forecast. That's coming up in just a few minutes. Back over to you.
All right, Kev, thanks so much. Making headlines around the state this morning, the Department of Homeland Security announced yesterday that the proposed date to start enforcing Real ID compliant identification for air travelers will be delayed due to the ongoing pandemic. That pushes the deadline back from October 1st of this year to May 3rd, 2023. Officials say postponing the deadline will give state motor vehicle departments, many of which saw operations upended by the pandemic, time to process the new ID cards. The Real ID Act was passed by Congress in 2005 and would establish national standards for state identification cards and prevent federal agencies from accepting non-compliant cards. A Real ID will be necessary to gain access to federal facilities, board commercial aircrafts, and enter nuclear power plants.
Demi Dominguez was a 23-year-old woman with her entire life ahead of her, pregnant with her first child and engaged to the love of her life. Unfortunately, her life and the life of her newborn son, Malachi, were cut short due to alleged negligent care by two Bakersfield maternal health doctors who missed signs of her preeclampsia. Today, Senator Melissa Hurtado is continuing the fight for Demi and other women of color in the Central Valley in need of appropriate maternal care. Senator Hurtado is proposing a maternal safety bill today to the Senate Health Committee.
Over 50% of maternal deaths are preventable. And in a nation like ours, it's not a developing country, but we're a country that has supposedly good access to health care. This shouldn't be occurring in preventable deaths. And really that's, what we're trying to address is how do we make sure that we stop a death from occurring that is preventable?
If approved, this bill would allow for the collection of data that the senator and her team believes is relevant to leading to the causes of death in women and children in poor communities. Senator Hurtado suspects the provider shortage in the Central Valley could be one contributing factor in the higher maternal mortality rate in comparison to other California regions. Here at home, we're counting down the days until our annual Unleash Your Love event. We're teaming up with the Bakersfield SPCA for the fundraiser. We'll be live at the SPCA all day long Friday, urging you to give the No Kill Shelter a call and donate to help them continue saving the lives of homeless pets. This year's event will once again be virtual due to the pandemic. You can donate online at bakersfieldspca.org or call 323-8353.
CSUB and the CSU Chancellor's Office honored civil rights icon Dolores Huerta yesterday afternoon. They gifted Huerta with a bench, a plaque, and a tree, which will be installed on the campus. During a ceremony, they honored contributions to the community and thanked her for fighting for farm workers' rights.
To plant a tree, to put a bench, so that students, as they walk through campus, through the decades, will remember this remarkable, remarkable human being.
Dolores Huerta says education is extremely important to this community. Last year, to celebrate Huerta's 90th birthday, the CSU commissioned a book in her honor, which they also handed out on campus during yesterday's ceremony.
And welcome back here at 5:13. Yesterday, Kern County supervisors addressed the drought here at home. During yesterday's meeting, Supervisor Philip Peters asked the county administrative office to draft a local emergency declaration. Last week, Governor Gavin Newsom declared a drought emergency for Mendocino and Sonoma counties, but said he's not yet ready to declare a statewide drought emergency yet. The board's expected to consider the declaration at its May 11th meeting.
Clinica Sierra Vista is now offering rapid COVID-19 testing and COVID-19 vaccinations. Call 833-278-4584 to make your appointment. But don't delay. Clinica Sierra Vista, putting patients first.
Welcome back. The nation anxiously awaits President Biden's first joint address to Congress tonight. He is expected to highlight achievements in his first 100 days and push Congress to take action on jobs and legislation to help families.
Tracy Potts has a preview from Washington.
Alex and Maddie, good morning. Good morning, everyone. This is not the State of the Union. A president's first speech to Congress is known as the joint address. In it, President Biden expected to take a victory lap over his first 100 days and lay out a roadmap for what's next. The White House says in tonight's joint address to Congress, President Biden will update the fight against coronavirus. New case rates are dropping and 37% of adults are now fully vaccinated.
And once you're fully vaccinated, you can go without a mask when you're outside and away from big crowds.
Also tonight, President Biden will push police reform and new gun laws, focusing on his conversations with George Floyd's family. He'll urge Congress to pass his $2.3 trillion infrastructure plan and outline a new American Families Plan, including free preschool. Tomorrow, he's hitting the road with others in the administration. The Getting America Back on Track tour will push legislation on jobs and families.
The president would like to see progress by Memorial Day and would like to sign it into law this summer.
Senator Tim Scott, the Senate's only black Republican, delivers tonight's response.
Bait and switch strikes me as the best way to describe the Biden administration, at least so far.
Bipartisanship working together, Republicans say the president promised but failed to deliver. Because of COVID restrictions and all the new security at the Capitol, expect a thinner crowd, 200 people instead of the 1,600 normally packed in the House chamber. There will be no guests, and because much of the cabinet won't be there, no need for a designated survivor. I'm Tracy Potts, 17 News.
This watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Back here at 524 in your Business Watch, Amazon's expanding a service that lets delivery people inside your home. It's called Amazon Key. The service allows delivery workers to drop off groceries in garages, homes, or cars or businesses. Customers have to buy additional hardware to get items delivered, including a smart lock, a camera, or a smart garage door opener. Amazon has pitched the service to Prime members as a way to keep their groceries or packages safe from weather, damage, and theft. Spotify is raising prices on some plans in the U.S. The family plan, which can be used by up to 6 members of a household, will go up by $1 to $15.99 a month. The individual monthly plan will remain $9.99, where it's been since it launched a decade ago. Spotify has said charging for the more basic and most popular plan would be challenging as rivals offer the same music at the same price.
Did you know 40% of the U.S. food supply is wasted every year? That is almost 212 pounds per person. Food experts from around the globe are using April 28th, today, to bring awareness to food waste. NBC's Dan Shinneman has details.
Here is some food for thought. Americans toss nearly a third of the groceries they buy in the trash, costing the average household about $1,600 a year.
I'll see something new on the shelf. I want to try it. I'll get home, end up not liking it, and then I'll end up just throwing it away.
The amount of food Americans waste has tripled over the past 50 years.
I don't know, I have big eyes when I go on the market, right. And it's even worse if I'm hungry.
Yes.
So definitely a couple of bags get wasted for us.
People believe that stopping food waste begins at home, and it really begins at the grocery store. It's all about making the list, menu planning, and buying the proper portion sizes.
Compass Group USA introduced Stop Food Waste Day in 2017. Celebrated on the last Wednesday of Earth Month, they hope to raise awareness of the food waste issue.
And being the global food service leader, the responsibility that we could help lead this major initiative for awareness on just the amount of food that is lost on a day-to-day basis.
Spoiled food, real or perceived, is one of the biggest reasons people throw things out. Rehydrating can save some of them from the landfill.
So these guys were looking a little bit sad, and we soaked them in ice water for about 10 minutes, and they perked right up. Really works well with lettuces and root vegetables as well.
Experts say before going to the store, see what items in your fridge can be used to make a meal, saving time, money, and the planet. Dan Shinneman, NBC News.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.